Dave Lenny's gonna be here.
I know, I found that out. I thought he wasn't gonna be here.
He missed us. He got halfway down there and he missed us. He had to come back.
I had to turn around and come back. Okay, we're going to call to order the Town of Lloyd Town Board Workshop meeting for May 4th, 2022. I'd like to open it with a pledge, and I'd like to ask our scouts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, so please join me in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we got a pretty full agenda again. I'm going to start off with kind of a notation and a proclamation. In April of 1963, in a meeting in 1963, President John F. Kennedy and members of the National Council of Senior Citizens led to designating May as Senior Citizens Month, the prelude to Older Americans Month. So the proclamation is, whereas our senior citizens deserve every benefit due to them by reason of their age and service to our community, state, and nation, and whereas they are the forefathers of this generation and future generations, now therefore I, David Plapchak, Supervisor of the Town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York, do hereby proclaim May 20, 2022 as Senior Citizens Month in the Town of Lloyd, and ask all citizens to give them the honor and justly deserve. They justly deserve. And with that, the Recreation Department and Programs for the Aging is having a boxed lunch for our senior citizens on Thursday, May 19th at 12 noon at Highland Landing Park. So they've been calling in to register for that. And they'll be getting letters also. Okay, I'd like to start tonight's meeting off. I'm thrilled to have both Dimitri and Taki Bakatsias here tonight. They both recently just achieved their Eagle Scout rank for Troop 70. And it's a significant achievement for those of you who know Scouts. And I want them to spend a few minutes telling us what they did to achieve their Eagle Scout rank. And I really hope the more of our young residents would follow with their leadership and are motivated when they see what they've done and inspired to achieve some other goal of their own. So I'm going to give you the microphone, and you guys can explain to us what you did.
Push, no.
All right, so hi everyone, I'm Taki Bakatsias, and for my Eagle Scout project, I did a project at my church, and I put up 3 flags. So first I started off by clearing a 30 by 6 patch of land on the side of the church, and then we put 5 inches of drainage rock and then 1 inch of sand on top of that, and then we put decorative pavers and bricks around it and on top of it to make it look all nice. And we put 3 flags, the Greek flag, the American flag, and the Archdiocese flag. And the reason for this was I wanted to add some beautification to the church, so when you drive by you see these big flags flowing in the wind. And our priest, who is a veteran, could hold veteran prayer services as well. So that was my project, and at the end of that, I dedicated that as a memorial to a parishioner who unfortunately passed away due to illness. So we have a plaque there with her name and dedicating that to her. Is there any questions about my project?
What church is it?
Kimisis di Theotokos Greek Orthodox Church in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Very nice.
Very good, congratulations.
Nice work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How long did your project take you?
My project, we started in the last week of August, and it took about 3 months. And it was about 300 hours total. And it took that long because it was the end of the summer, and I had school, I had football, and I had family responsibilities, so it took a long time. But when we finally finished, it felt great.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You also got another graduating this year, right?
I'm sorry?
You graduated this year?
No, I'm a junior. That's him.
Very graduate.
All right.
You read the foreign language.
Yes.
Got that. I was there with my daughter.
Awesome. So I'm Dimitri Bakatsias. I'm a senior at Highland High School, and I am graduating this year. For my project, when I went to the church to ask them what they wanted to do, they had come back to me and told me that right outside our Hellenic Center, there was a big slab of concrete that had just fractured due to time and weather, and it had become a safety hazard for some of the parishioners. So they tasked me with removing it and then reinstalling a new one. And then to add on to that, around the front of the church, it had just been plain grass, or in front of the center, excuse me. It had just been plain grass. So they had wanted to do some beautification. So we removed a strip of grass right in front of the brick and put down river rocks and planted some decorative flowers as well. gist of mine.
I'm looking through your plans, and I love the fact that you did some planning and you drew it out, and you went through and showed us the before and after, so that was great. How did you have to raise funds for this also?
Yes, so the funds were not raised directly by us. Our church wanted to do that themselves.
Okay.
So they held collections, and parishioners were able to donate just because they wanted to be able to buy everything and provide us with what we needed.
Okay.
And how long did your project take?
Mine was less than my brother's. It was about a month and a half to 2 months. We started around mid to late August, and it ended around September, October.
Good job.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
And Dimitri's graduating this year, you said?
I am.
And I know you're also salutatorian of
Yes,
the
I am.
class, so
Salutatorian.
congratulations on that also.
And as I was saying, you and your brother, I mean, and for some reason I thought you were the older brother. So, but no grass grows under your guys' feet, huh? I mean, salutatorian, Eagle Scouts for both of you, Hall of Fame, stellar athlete, scholar athlete, and now honors foreign language honor society, which is 6 years of a foreign language, right? Or 7?
Yes,
A
I'm
long
pretty sure
time.
it's 6 years, and there's an academic requirement too.
Parents should be proud of you.
So I have I'm going to present you some Outstanding Citizens Award for both of you, and with the Town of Lloyd stamp, et cetera, so I'll come out there.
Make sure it's the right one.
The old guy with the flash powder camera was quicker to do it.
Mark, it's quality. Mark's doing quality.
Sorry. There you go.
And you're welcome to stay if you want, but you don't have to. Could be a long meeting. Okay, so we're going to move through our normal agenda.
Again, guys,
Here.
thank you.
Thank you. First thing we're going to do, we had some public hearings for water and store extensions that we opened February 16th, and we're going to leave them open. And so if anybody wants or has comments on the water store extensions for the Views, Stewarts, or the Villages, you come up to the podium. If not, we'll leave them open until we finish the agreements with the developers. Okay, then we also open public hearings on water and sewer rates and agricultural buffer definitions and package plans. So if there's public comments on that, you come up now. We also know that there's some, that I know in Falcon Ridge, you guys were on the old business part of the agenda, so if you have comments, when we did get your other letter of comments, so thank you. Nobody for the public hearings right now, so what we'll do is we'll move on to the reports. The first one's Assessor Ann Fio, and she gave me an update that she's filed the 2022 tentative roll on May 1st. Soon the county will be posting all Ulster County towns rolls on their website, and then after, ours will be on the Town Lloyd website's homepage. Grievance day is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022, and the Board of Assessment Review has set their hours for 4 to 8 p.m. on May 24th by appointment only. Okay, so that's Ann's report. So we'll move forward. Dave Barton, Building and Zoning.
I will attempt to be brief. I know your agenda's full. We just finished Phase 3 of the municipal build-out. We're into Phase 4 now. We started yesterday, which is now the product has been built out. We are going through with their development team the best practices, and we're developing our own policies and procedures related to the new software. We might be a month ahead of going live, which will save the town money every time we complete one of these phases. We get a discount on whatever that phased billing period is, and we've been ahead of the game, much to Kendra's delight. She loves to see the reduction. The planning board's continuing to work on the cannabis zoning and short-term rental zoning. I got a link the other day, I think maybe Dave sent it. New Paltz is now working on a site plan right now for a dispensary. No licenses have been issued. I think it's important. They have no zoning on the ground yet. I think it's important that we stay ahead of the game. So hopefully, maybe this month we can at least tee it up and see what we get for comment. New York State amended NYCRR Part 1203, which is the enabling legislation on the executive law for building departments across the state. They've updated that. It goes into effect December 22, although the language is already in the register in New York State. I've already crafted an amendment for our local Chapter 42, which is building administration, I think. We'll do that later in the year. You'll see that probably October. I had a good meeting with Adam the other day about Mountainside Woods, and then Adam and I are going to meet again next week about the GIS device you guys authorized. It will be in by then, but we're going to, Adam and I and Kevin probably, thank you, are going to meet and try and set up the types of data that they would like to have collected. That way I can put it into a table so that whoever goes out to collect the data will have it in sort of a drop-down format. They can just point and click on the tablet and collect the data. As I said in the past, it's a much better system than anything we've had in the past. You've got some other things on the agenda tonight. I'll hang around for if you'd like. One of them is the open development area request just on the backside of Applewood South Apartments. If you have any questions, I can answer them. I know Margaret sent around the maps. I also printed out maps for you all. They should be in your packets tonight. If you have any questions on that, I'm happy to answer. John had some great news. I don't know if you want to talk about it now or next meeting about the Bridgeview Lights, which he and I are still working on. We're a lot further along than we were last time we spoke. And 1203. One more thing. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Dave,
Okay.
quick question. When I appreciate you taking my call, and when I got that call from that angry person from Cambridge, did you look into that, and was there anything to that with the Mountainside Woods
There was
project?
not. I know that we've had other. I know the supervisor spoke to some people up there. It was a person that Lenny and the former supervisor went up to meet that day. The blasting concerns. It was sort of. I thought, mitigated. The developer went over and spent a fair bit of money repairing homes. If there was some dissatisfaction with them, it wasn't because of any lack of effort on the town's part. Lenny went up and sort of read Dave Weinberg the Riot Act and sort of told him, do the right thing, be the good neighbor, and he did. As far as we were concerned, if there's anything that goes beyond that in the future, it's probably going to be a civil action between the homeowner and main blasting.
Yeah, and the other thing, that's what kind of explained to them, and I actually directed them towards you, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, mhm.
But then they were concerned about, garbage, and I've never noticed anything, so I don't know if.
So the day after, I think we spoke on a Friday, the last time that communication. On that Monday, I went up and I drove through, and I think David had gotten a phone call as well. He mentioned it to me. I drove up. I didn't see anything. I did see where they had a barrier up on their property, because the road itself has some of their own property on either side of it, and before the homeowner's property begins. There was a wall there, sort of a mesh barrier there. It's supposed to keep the rocks from bouncing off the road, because that's where the stockpile was. There was no other debris. I did tell, we're up there pretty regularly, as you know. I did tell Mr. Weinberg that, we're watching it. We want it to be clean. He wants it to be clean. He lives up there, so.
I think that day it was also windy. And
Oh, it
some
was
of
the day
that
after the
stuff
storm.
got
Well,
blown,
yeah,
some
was
of
the day
that
after the
stuff flew
storm.
onto some of the neighbors. So they moved it, and then Lenny and I went up and talked to Dave. We talked to the resident, and we also asked them, they were talking about the prior dynamite
Right.
damage. And she said she had a video, and Lenny and I asked for it. So if she sends it to us, we'll follow through. If it's going to be a civil case, if from
Ultimately,
there
it'll be
on.
civil between
Right.
them and Maine,
Yeah.
Maine Blasting.
Yeah.
And I just want to make a comment, and the reason I'm bringing it up is this board, we are very collaborative. We do speak, and if you're a community member and you have an issue, you can come to any of us. We do talk about it because I know Dave and Mike and Lenny, John, we all spoke about it. And our building department, I have to say, is they are pretty much on things. And I know, Dave, that you're up there all the time. And when I got the call, I was like, it didn't make sense to me that.
It didn't make sense to me because it was a year, right? It was over
Yeah.
a year, 2 years
And,
almost.
what really didn't make sense is that they said the barrier wasn't up, and I know that your department wouldn't let that slide.
Yeah, we're pretty
so,
uptight about stuff.
but if there's something going on and you, as a community member, and you see it, let the building department know, let us know, because we have pride in the town and we want to do the right thing. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, dog control, you all see Andrew's report there. I don't see him here, so, if there's any questions, we can ask him, but it looks like a pretty straightforward month. Move forward, finance. I did want to read something, Kendra, I don't know even know if Kendra's back there, but we got a letter this month from our two town justices, Gene Rizzo and Terry Alia, as signed by both of them. And the letter is 2021 Annual Justice Court Audit, and it's addressed to me, and Gene and Terry even called me Dear Dave. On behalf of the Town of Lloyd Justice Court, please commend Kendra for the exemplary job she performed in this year's annual audit of the Justice Court records. This year's audit report is by far more extensive, comprehensive, and complete than any prior reports of any municipal or private entities which performed a Justice Court audit in the past. It far exceeded both their expectations. Now, the significance in that, and the reason I bring it up is, last year we paid, the UHY was the vendor we hired, and the price for that was going to be between $4,500 and $5,000 this year. So we don't have to spend that because Kendra did it. And she's also doing the revolving loan fund and the parish report, which is between $7,500 and $10,000 for audits. So in total, we're saving between $12,000 and $16,000 on audits. So I think, for the rest of the board members, when you do see Kendra, just thank her for that.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I mean, we're a fortunate community because we have highly qualified people in all our departments. And I know Kendra hasn't really been out with us that long, but she's doing a phenomenal job. And I know for the entire board, you guys are all retired. I'm not retired, so for me to come and do things, I have to do it after work. And sometimes I come here 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and sometimes at 6, 7 when I'm here. Kendra's here working, and, grinding midnight oil. So she's really dedicated, and we're very fortunate to have all our staff. But Kendra is doing a great job, so I thank her for that.
And since she's going beyond her regular duties, she should, next time a raise comes up, she should be in line for it.
Exactly, or a stipend for doing audits, whatever.
That's right, because everybody in the past has been that way, so I think we gotta, thank
Okay,
you.
we'll move on. Mr. Klotz, Highway.
Good chief.
Hey, good afternoon. Right now, not too much going on. Weather's killing us, Want to get some paving done, but that's not happening. So we're out there cleaning ditches and doing some odds and ends around town. Tomorrow, you gonna be around?
Yes.
All right, come out tomorrow morning, 8:30?
8:30?
8:30,
Okay, you all heard it.
okay?
I'll be there.
We'll do what we gotta do.
Bring the coffee.
And that's about it. Hope to do main paving in probably early June, but there's a lot of repairs we gotta do, right, Mr. Lippman? So, that's what I'm trying to get, started on, so we'll get that stuff out of the way.
You good?
That's about it.
And appreciate your quick reaction helping us. I know with John on the lights and on the steps, which you've done twice, so you're pretty good at it now.
Your guy said it was easier the second time.
That's it. Do it twice.
Okay.
Does it
Thanks.
measure once,
Yeah,
measure twice, do it once? Does it go like that?
all right.
Thank the guys for
Thanks, Rich.
supporting
Thanks for all you do,
front
Rich.
steps.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay, Chief Janso?
April, our statistics of the month were 1,014 calls of service, 28 accidents. Out of those 28 accidents, 4 were personal injury, 24 were property damage. Department issued 50 tickets, 14 arrests. Some of the activities we did, April 5th was Cops and Coffee. April 12th was our Youth Rec League at St. Augustine's. April 20th, 2 of our officers were challenged to a kickball game by the elementary school teachers. We won. It's tough learning. April 24th, we assisted the Masonic Lodge in 299 roadway cleanup for about a mile stretch. April 25th, Lieutenant Rolson attended an open house at the Ulster County Law Enforcement Academy, which basically we go and promote our department for new recruits. Looks like we're going to pick up 2 from that academy, hopefully in the coming month or 2.
Good.
So I'll keep you advised of that. April 27th, Lieutenant Rolson and Officer Lembo gave a class on evidence and forensics to Cub Scout Troop 70. April 28th, I attended a press conference with the Senator and Pat Ryan, County Executive, of the gas tax cut. In April, the whole month of April, we were giving away free locks and safety kits to our town residents. We've probably given away about 20 so far. We still have more, so anybody who's a town resident who wants gun locks, come see me. We'll make them available to you for free. And Narcan, we used once in April with big success. Training for the month, all members of the department took online harassment in the workplace training, and Officer Miller became a New York State instructor for TASER, which goes with a new TASER course that's coming up in the summer. Any questions?
Questions, and I'm not, first, thank you for all you do in your department, and you guys really do a great job. But as the weather's getting warmer, and this is kind of to Sean, I know we're going to be getting more people. We had last year the guy with the violin playing in the parking lot. We had the turf war of the panhandling out front of Hannaford's. Sean, are we looking, because I'm concerned about our residents and safety, how are we making out with restricting where they can and cannot handle on the highway or by the highway?
Well, I've done some looking at it, and I mean, we're back to if people are harassing people or they're vandalizing something, there's something you do. But people, if they're just hanging around, assembling or just being with somebody without that harassing or without doing something overt to do something to people, it's hard to not let them be in a public space.
Yeah, I have no issue with people panhandling, and the issue I have is, standing on a divider in the middle of the road. It's a very narrow divider. God forbid they slip, somebody might hit them. And number 2, panhandling on the 9W corridor or the 299 corridor. Can we look at creating some type of town ordinance that you can't so far from an ATM and so much from a highway?
Yeah, I looked into that. I'll look some more, and I'll talk to you about it. You and I can talk about it. Like I said, it's difficult to tell people they can't be in a public place. Like I said, unless they're harassing somebody or like I said, they're vandalizing, something like that. But I'll look into it a little more, and we'll talk about it.
And we do monitor the individuals who are up there. And we've had discussions with them as far as where they can go, what they can do, what they can't do, what their freedoms are. They know what their freedoms are too. They're not naive to it. We've offered them help from different county agencies, and they just don't want it. So until there's a law or they create something that's against New York State penal law, that's when we take action.
Do you think it's a safety issue that where they stand in that median?
Well, it's in the middle. It's not that wide of a medium. In
Oh, I
some
understand.
spots.
I'm just saying. I mean,
And that's my concern. It's not like they're on the sidewalk. They're in the medium.
yeah, well, that's town space there, right?
Yeah, it's open space. It could become, depending on weather, depending on traffic, depending on what they're doing.
we could look into saying it's unsafe, but then you'd be enforcing that. Any other questions for the chief? Okay,
Keep up the
thanks.
good
Jim.
work, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, Recreation and Grounds, Frank?
All right. Tony Williams, the water's on there now, the bathrooms are open. Water fountain's not connected yet, it will be as soon as testing is done on that water. Berry Ann Park, the water will be turned on later this week, and we're gonna get the bathrooms cleaned and then the concession cleaned in the next week or two to be ready to go for Memorial Day weekend. On the town field, yesterday, Lenny and I were down there, and Central Hudson was there moving the 2 poles over, like we talked about. One of the questions, I didn't go down and check. Did you check last night?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm going to try to check tonight. The way the lights went up, the parking lights are on the inside, and then the other side going towards the field are the 2 bigger lights. According to the gentleman that was there, those lights will come on every night, but I don't know how bright they're going to be. So that's something we might need to adjust if they're too bright, because the reason we wanted to do that was for events. I think that's what we talked about last year. So we have, whether it's events committee or fireworks or anything else that's going on there, we're able to turn the lights on so people can leave that field safely. So we'll have to see what that looks like. I'll try to take a look tonight. Also, the 2 existing poles in the parking lot now, we need to get them removed and take the electric boxes on there and get them transferred over to the other poles. So is that something you want me to look into with Braggs, or I don't know, where we're at with that, because is that gonna be part of the pavilion?
Well, would you have to put that to, if it's not part of pavilion, how much would it have to go to bid, Sean? Because we have a
Well, yeah,
procurement.
what are you talking about, removing 2 poles?
There's 2 existing poles that Central Hudson was able to cut down to the point where the boxes are still there.
Right.
Part of the plan is with the pavilion was those electric boxes would be moved over to the new poles. And then now,
Well, it depends on what you, what do you think it's gonna cost you?
I don't know that.
Well, it's gonna be under 35,000, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, is it gonna be under 5,000, you think?
it could be. It could
Okay,
be.
so well, I think what you should do is you can get 3 written proposals.
Okay,
So, verbal. If it's under 5,000. Well, if it's under 5,000, you get 3 verbal,
gotcha.
right, but if it's over 5.
Right.
But I certainly think you're not gonna have to go out to bid on it. It's gonna be under the limit
Yeah.
for, but yeah.
I just think we just gotta clean that up. And also there was a cable, correct?
Right. The cable, it's got that thing on, so we got to get a hold of Altice or whoever they are.
Right.
And they have to move that over to the pole that was moved over to the right side of
Right.
the Frank Lombardi Memorial sign.
Right, because Central Hudson wouldn't move that. So
Right.
that's gotta be moved, and then if we get the electric box moved, then those 2 poles can be cut down, and that'll clean up the parking lot.
But on another note, I believe the electric that would go to the pavilion could come off the boxes that are all the way over on the left by the fence.
Right.
All right, I believe that. And they were supposed to be, the lights shining in the field were actually supposed to be so we could turn them off and on. But the gentleman that had, this is what they gave him, that's all he could do. So it was either stop everything or let him do that. And maybe you could see about
Yeah.
Bragg looking into running the thing down so you
Running
got a
wires
switch.
down till we can
So you
control
have
it
a
from down
switch.
low.
Yeah.
And that's
So
what, I want to see how bright it is first,
Right, well,
and
I
then we'll
mean-
take care of that.
all right.
But I'll definitely follow up with that.
And you can even call the guy Reds. I mean, he just did the job for the generator, right?
I believe so, yeah. I'm not, you know. Park schedule, thanks to Wendy and the staff there, I mean, we're filling up with people calling and booking events. So it's pretty busy. There's not a lot of open weekends. We have 3 events coming up in the next week or 2. The police is doing the fishing for the kids up there on the 14th, and then on May 17th, Tony Williams will be hosting the MHAL softball championships, which we've done every year before COVID, and then we haven't had it the last 2 years. But there's 2 softball games up there on Tuesday, the 17th, one game at the high school, and then the championship games at Tony Williams. And then on the 19th is the senior luncheon. That'll be down at the Highland Landing.
Yeah.
And anything you guys need for that, we'll take care of that. Summer fun flyers went out. I have been fielding phone calls and emails as well as the clerk's office. So we're moving forward with that. Berry Ann Park with lifeguards. We do have a decent amount of applications. We still need a lot more. I do have a woman down in Marlboro is going to be doing a life-saving class. It'll be June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I just got to coordinate the names of the people who are going that applied. Chris Hammond and I are going to talk tomorrow and get those people signed up, for that class. And then hopefully after that, on the 4th, we'll have 8 to 12 certified lifeguards that we can move forward with. Also, once the water is turned on up there, we're going to make sure that the concession stand's nice and clean. I have been talking to Nick, and we're moving forward with that. And the other question that came up was the light over by M&T. I believe, I talked to Coop from Bragg's last week. I know he was there, and he turned that light off. So I don't know if that was previous to.
It may have been previous, because
Yeah.
I got it through an
Yep.
email, so
Yep.
probably a
Yeah.
delay there.
So what it was is there's a connector that he has to replace. So he turned that light off, and then once he gets that, he'll reconnect that one
Thanks,
back on. And that's where we're at.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
Good job, Frank, thank you.
Okay, move forward, Town Clerk, Wendy?
In regards to lifeguards, Frank, Rocking Horse Ranch called us today to see if we had any extra lifeguards.
Frank, just, you might want to touch base with Steve, because I know that when I was a kid, I worked at Rockin' Horse Ranch, and we had back then, shortage of lifeguards, and what they did is they had somebody do a course in their indoor pool or their outdoor pool, and they reached out to the high school to see if any kids were interested and got them certified. So maybe for
You have a
having short.
course.
That's what he's
You already
doing.
have a course.
That's what we're doing.
He already has a course scheduled.
8 to 10, 8 to 11 kids that pretty much have signed up with applications, and now we just got to get them certified.
So the building department is now accepting credit cards for all of their fees, which are the fees that are turned over to the town clerk at the end of the day. They were very comfortable with it, so they moved forward. Taxes, my office has sent out the final bills for unpaid taxes, which includes an additional $1 fee. And if you look at the numbers there, at this date in time in 2021, we were only 600,000 in unpaid, and today we are 1.1 million. So I'm not sure what that's going to mean for the end of the month. We're almost done. Records management, I'm hosting the Ulster County Town Clerks Association meeting on May 12th, and we're having Michael Martin from State Archives to talk to us about digitizing records, email records, migration plans, and preservation of our paper records.
Good. Thank you.
I also want to just take one moment. This is Maribel Gavinger. For those of you who don't know, she's my deputy town clerk, and she's sitting in and learning tonight.
Always good to be trained, Maribel.
And thank you for being so friendly. It's always great how nice you welcome all of us, so thank you.
Okay, a couple updates. I think all the board members, I've sent them a resolution of Tilson Talk. We're still working on the funding. We are making progress. We're getting a lot of support. Thanks to everybody who's been talking to different people. I know Mike reached out to Assemblyman Jacobson, who's been very helpful. I met with Senator Hinchy when Jim and I were at the press conference she had. So we are starting to make progress. We are getting closer to move forward, and my intent is to put a resolution on the meeting at the 18th to start. Okay, so we'll continue moving forward with that. And the one thing I've noticed as I have been working on Tilson and Talk is there are a ton of grants out there from all the infrastructure bills. And it may not be a bad idea for us to start looking at a dedicated grant writer from one of these firms, just for assigned to us. Not one that's doing consulting, engineering, and grant writing, just a very specific grant writer, so that if we see transportation grants that Rich could use, there's a lot of water grants out there that I know Adams can't wait to jump into his, upgrading his plant. So I'm gonna look at some different grant writers. If we can get one on retainer, to me, would be the best thing to do. Because some of these firms, you pay by the grant, and then the hours become billable hours that I'm trying to stay away from. So I will get back to the rest of the board on that. And my last update is the front steps are back knocked out again. You know, we knocked them out, and Atlantic Concrete came in and formed and poured them last Friday. Dave and Anthony and myself, and we're out there looking at them the other day, and Johnny from Atlantic drove by. He took one look at them and said he didn't like them. We talked about ways to remediate it, and he says, I would rather start over, and he didn't like the mix that he got, and so thanks to Richie, we knocked them out again today, and we're gonna get them back here either this week, end of this week, to start reforming them and repouring them next week, whatever. But we want to do them right, and I do appreciate the fact that he was worried about the quality of our steps. So just an update for everybody there. We're going to move forward then with water and sewer. Adam Littman.
Good evening. Adam Littman, Administrator for Town of Lloyd Water and Sewer. It's been a while since I've been up here. Actually kind of nervous about it, can't tell you the truth. So I'll try not to mess this up too bad. So I'll start off with water. As of the 25th of February, reservoir water has been making up 90% of daily production. The wells are making up the remaining 10%. Currently, our daily production time is ranging between 10 and 12 hours per day. I have a couple of updates with water. Over the past few months, we've sat with Vermeer and Larios, West Tech, Trident, in review of the water plant upgrade. West Tech has proposed two options with the 3 units we currently have. They have proposed a replacement or a rehabilitation of the structures. The structures of the units remaining, or the structures remain in good condition that we have, so the real rehabilitation of those would be preferable. We're also going over some of the other items at the facility which need to be upgraded. This project will probably be proposed in several phases or more, because there's other existing items within the water plant, electrical panels, pumps, that are becoming outdated and hard to replace. Moving on with the road crew, in my last report, I had reported that in mid-March, we purchased and picked up the Vermeer Vac trailer. This unit is a welcome piece of equipment. This unit will save man-hours of work during excavations. This unit also has multiple uses. The crew has also fitted the unit with all the necessary hand tools. They've made an assortment of different suction nozzles that can be used for excavations. The plus side to the unit is it will reduce the size of excavations in the areas in the road, so that Richie won't be too upset with us. So in April, they started working with this unit, and they're becoming familiar with the way it works. You know, we've done a couple of things. The guys were up in Bridgeview. I think they had done a few excavations up there. It seems to work pretty good. They were on a couple roads out here, too, when they were doing some exploration for sewer. I have to report the unit works great. So the road crew, they've been servicing and repairing all the equipment all throughout the winter, the spring. They've installed the new flagpole at the John Pisani Hudson River Pump Station. I would like to thank Pete, because that was the one from the park. And the mowing season's begun, so they're busy mowing and weed whacking. The sewer department, daily operations continue as usual. There's lots of cleaning and maintenance. I'd like to take a moment to thank Paul Frash and Thomas McGovern. Mr. McGovern is one of our newer employees. They're doing an excellent job in dialing in at the wastewater plant the sludge digestion and disposal process. Over the past 4 months, they've managed to reduce the amount of sludge that is being disposed of. Comparable to the last couple of years, we have reduced by 20 to 30 tons. Compared to the previous years, if we do an average, you're looking at approximately $105 per ton. So we have a saving so far this year of $2,625. And that's just in the way that they're pumping sludges and operating the digesters that's made that difference. So I'd like to thank
Congratulate
them
them
for
for
the hard
us.
work. So,
And thank you for taking care of that fire hydrant promptly. On Smith.
so you had called, I had called Kevin. That fire hydrant up there, the threaded end on the nozzle, so the Mueller factory, from what I understand, burned down last year. This is a fire hydrant factory. How does this happen? I don't know. So there was a loss in production, so that part that was on back order has recently come in, and it's been on back order for a long time. So I thank them for getting that done too.
Just one more thing for those of you out there that don't understand a vac trailer. It's right now, they don't want you digging by gas lines or buried electric lines. And that machine just goes in there and can clean out around them. It's a lot safer and, right.
Right. Pretty much as Lenny has stated, we abide by all the dig safe procedures, which requires us to either hand dig or use the source of hydro excavation. This past year, we've had in excess of a dozen water main breaks, and none of them done instantly. There was a lot of hand digging. I wish we had the trailer last fall. It would have saved us many, many man-hours and much time. So. it's
And
really-
Adam, I want to thank you and your crew. Again, that back trailer, it was a great investment by
Yes.
the town.
Yep.
And I was just impressed how, if you could use the word, surgically dig a hole.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sucked out a perfectly round hole.
Yep.
And we've got big plans for that on the Bridgeview project. So thank you for making your guys available, and thank you,
Absolutely.
your men.
Yeah. And I should take the opportunity to thank you guys and of course the public, for allowing us to move forward that type of project. So then I guess you were there when they did the excavations for the light poles.
Yes.
John and I were both there.
Yeah,
Good.
it was just impressive
It is. It
And-
is.
and safe. I mean,
It is.
Thanks, Adam.
All right.
And don't
Thanks,
forget
Adam.
to thank
Thank
your
you.
crew, and don't forget to thank your crew.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to move on the agenda to old business. And first tonight, we have, I believe, Mr. Gilchrist from Falcon Ridge Subdivision. And they had asked for time, I think it was a couple months ago, when they asked for time on one of our agendas, one of our workshops. So we were able to give it to them tonight, and look forward to hearing from you.
Great, thank you. Andy Gilchrist, I'm the project attorney for the Falcon Ridge subdivision. Dan Guerin, who's the principal of ADC Ulster, is here, together with Justin Dates, who's the project engineer. I'll start by asking, are the board members generally familiar with the project?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
It has been pending in front of the town for many years now. So as you recall, 166 proposed residential lots off Upper North Road. We've been bouncing this project between a number of boards in the town. We're here today, and we'd asked a couple of months ago to appear in front of the board to talk about the issue of wastewater. It's good that I'm following the Water and Sewer Department. This project is currently proposed, originally came to the town. Some of you may have been on the board, some may not. I know a familiar face. The proposal originally was for additional lots with the extension of sewer. And what the board did at the time was to say, well, we want a sewer extension study done. My client did pay the cost to do that, and that resulted in a report on extending sewer to the entrance of the project site. The cost came back, and again, these are 2019 cost figures. The cost came back between nearly $2.5 million and $3.5 million. It was not economically feasible to be part of this project. In light of that, the developer went back and took another look at the project, reduced the number of lots down to the as-of-right number for a conservation subdivision under your zoning law and your subdivision regulations. And that's the current 166 layout proposal. Been working on this proposal for several years now. But in conjunction with reducing down the number of lots and not having public sewer extended to the project, the proposal includes the private wastewater treatment plant. I know the board introduced the local law to prohibit what it calls the private package plants in town, and that's still pending. I understand that. This project does include the proposed wastewater treatment plant. So again, so the board fully understands, the project had been in front of the planning board as part of the subdivision review. Two things have occurred at the planning board which has delayed the planning board review. One was the issue of the private wastewater treatment plant proposal. And what the planning board asked the applicant to do, and we've done this, is to go to the town's water and sewer committee. We've been there on a few occasions to talk about the concept of a wastewater treatment plant in conjunction with this proposed project. We haven't made much progress there, and I'll explain that in a minute. The second thing that occurred here was, we worked through it, but there was a determination by the town building department that the two access roads off Upper North, the proposed subdivision roads, violated the zoning law. We've been through the Zoning Board of Appeals process. That issue's been resolved. And the access roads are now consistent with your zoning law and are part of the subdivision proposal. When we were in front of the zoning board, the project applicant did confirm the location of the wastewater treatment plant would be within the appropriately zoned area. So that still remains part of the project. Once we were done with the zoning board process, we proceeded back to the Water and Sewer Committee. The concept here, so the board is aware, is these types of private wastewater treatment plants are allowable, generally under New York law. We know we have your local law pending, and we have submitted our comments on that. But they are recognized under the law in New York. There is a way to legally own, operate, and maintain those plants. The DEC obviously deals with them on a wastewater discharge permit basis. We understand that, and we need to comply with the department's regulations on that. And there's a mechanism to do it. Ultimately, though, in order to create the entity to own and operate that kind of system, we need the town board consent to the creation of what's called the Transportation Corporation, right? These own and operate these private plants. Just so you're aware, I know the Water and Sewer Committee is well aware, my client does own and operate and maintain a private wastewater treatment plant for a large subdivision project in the town of Poughkeepsie. A little bit in the town of Pleasant Valley, primarily in the town of Poughkeepsie, and has been doing so for several years, and is operated properly and has been well maintained and continues to be operated and maintained. Okay, that's remind me of the name, Dan? Stratford Farm Subdivision, town of Poughkeepsie, town of Pleasant Valley, right on the municipal border off Route 44. That's the proposal that's in front of the town. We wanted the opportunity to come to the board because when we were in front of the Water Sewer Committee, we got into a little bit of a catch-22, and let me explain that. The Water Sewer Committee was asking for specific details. What exactly are you going to build? In order to do those plans, that's a considerable amount of engineering work. We're really at the concept stage. We need input, and maybe we've already gotten it through your proposed local law, but that's not been acted upon yet. What we asked to do was to come to the board, the town board, which ultimately needs to consent to the creation of the Transportation Corporation, and on a concept basis, with the presumption that my client, from an engineering perspective and an investment perspective, would build the plant that the town wants to see. What we said to the Water and Sewer Committee is, presume we're going to build, the Mercedes-Benz of private wastewater treatment plant. We will build what the town wants and would require in this, for this project. Presume that that's done. We meet your specification goals. Conceptually, is this something that the town board would approve in terms of consent to the Transportation Corporation? Water and Sewer Committee said, you need to go to the town board. That generated the request to come a couple of months ago. Now, obviously, in the interim, you introduced your local law to prohibit those. We're back at the stage now where the town does need to understand this project can only move forward with a private wastewater treatment plant. Extension of public sewer does not make this project at all economically viable. And we're requesting that the town board consider that conceptual approval, the approach of a private wastewater treatment plant on the project. Now, I know, as I said, my client is here, the project engineer is here to answer any questions, but we're really at that stage of the project. If a private wastewater treatment plant is not approvable, this project cannot financially proceed. We've got 500 acres of appropriately zoned property with a 166-acre subdivision being proposed, which cannot move forward in light of the infrastructure.
Why can't you just put well and septic on the property? Or it's just septic on the property? Septic's,
Because it significantly reduces the economic viability of the project in terms of required separation.
you'd make less money because you have less lots.
When we look at this, we start, any developer, any property owner, starts with the proposition of how is the property zoned, and in light of the subdivision regulations and other applicable regulations, how many lots are allowable on the property. This town has already made the legislative determination that 166 lots are appropriate on the property. It's a 500-acre lot. And in order to do that, the only way to do that is with the private wastewater treatment plant. So if the board ultimately determines we don't want you to construct a private wastewater treatment plant, it does not make economic sense for this project to proceed. It's not simply about you won't get enough lots out there. It's the economic viability of developing that parcel in a manner that's consistent with the town's zoning and subdivision regulations. That's all.
Yeah, so we understand where you're at.
Yes.
We, as a board, have been talking with both Sean, our town attorney, and our land use attorney, and we put that law out there because we want to get public input.
Sure.
Which is what we normally do. There are also risks on our side that we have to consider. And, you know, we're gonna continue to discuss it and then decide how to move forward. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Sean, or?
No, I think Andy, you know, the procedural background, how we got to this point, I agree with, you know, what Andy said, but I think that's where you're at right now. You know, they were looking to see if they did build a plant, that the town has any inclination to approve it. So I think the town board right now, you have to consider the comments to the local law that you have, consider the comments that we received from the project and from the public generally, speak to myself and your land use attorney, and the board is going to have to decide how to proceed at this point.
Right. And that's where we're at with it right now, so.
Oh, I understand, and I appreciate where you're at as a board. A couple of thoughts, if I can, before I end. If the town ultimately determines that this land is better left as undeveloped open space, let the property owner know there's a mechanism for the town to proceed in that direction, and we'll deal with that. That's just a valuation issue, but that's okay. If the town looks at that parcel and decides it should not be developed despite our regulations, there's a procedure to deal with that, and as I said, it's just a valuation issue. But secondly, think about this conceptually on this project. This is a proposed 166-lot subdivision. If a private wastewater treatment plant is allowed to proceed, who ultimately would pay for the ownership, operation, and maintenance of that facility? Initially, it's going to be my client. That would be one option. That's continuing at the Stratford Farm subdivision. That entity continues to own and operate. Another option, I'd like to pursue it with Sean and with your land use attorney, is these are 166 lot owners. There is the opportunity that they own and operate through a homeowners association. They're the ones that would benefit from the operation. They would have the vested interest in making sure that plant runs properly because they own the lots that are dependent on it. I know the town and many towns are concerned. Well, what happens after 5 years? And what happens after 5 years if someone walks away? Do we have to take it over? Understood. But there are mechanisms to deal with that, which is a sewer district.
Yeah, there are, and the sewer district, I think, was what was giving you the conservation subdivision eligibility, so.
No. What I'm suggesting to you is if that, would currently be a private wastewater treatment plant, ultimately became a publicly owned wastewater treatment plant, you still would create a sewer district for that subdivision. And who would pay to own, operate, and maintain? The town, through billing the lot owners. This is not, we're going to be at a loss. There is a mechanism
Sean,
for
can-
funding.
And I think that's what we're trying to assess, because there
Yes.
is risk, because we've had that same issue
We're
with
dealing with
water
that now.
plants in the past, and we may have another one coming up right now.
Sure.
Where residents no longer want to pay that fee.
And it's 50
And-
years later.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to assess. We're looking at our benefits, which, you know, a comprehensive subdivision also should have benefits to the town that we have to assess. That's one of the reasons we give them out. Okay, and if we see this large risk, we may choose not to do it. So it's not just the wastewater plant that may be an issue. It may also be what are the benefits for the town doing a conservation subdivision in that space. So I think there's more to your entire project than that, but I understand the wastewater plant is the first thing in your priority list, and that's what we've been
Yeah,
discussing.
and I think
Yeah.
what you're suggesting is two different things.
Right.
Two options, well, two other options. One would be to have it privately owned and operated by the HOA, so there'd be a management company that would manage it through the HOA, and the fees would be paid through the individual property owners. Or the second option, I think I'm hearing, is to actually build a plant to town specs and so forth, and then dedicate it to the town.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay. That's what I thought he was alluding to.
No. You'd get to the
I
same.
thought you were giving it to us.
No.
You're going to build us the Rolls Royce of the plant if we wanted it,
If the
do our
Rolls
specs and
Royce
then
of
give
the
it to
plant is
us.
built, it's going to either be owned by my client or ultimately privately by the lot owners. I think the municipal concern is what happens, whether it's 5 years or 50 years, and people walk away.
Right.
And say, we're not going to.
That's right.
Then the town comes in and takes it over. And I'll go one step further. The concern at that point is, hey, wait a minute, I don't have a brand-new plant. I've got a 20, 30, 40-year-old plant. What do I do?
And for me, I just want to make a comment, and I get it, but it's heartbreaking to talk to those residents right now in that situation with a 50-year-old plant that's failing, that didn't collect enough money because it was through their own fees, and they're all concerned what happens to our homes if we don't have water or sewage anymore. So, you know, I get it when you talk about finances, but we have to deal with people too. And we have to look at the big picture of how does your project affect future generations? So I get it.
Well, I appreciate that. All right, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any questions before we depart?
I have no further questions. Anybody else on the board?
All right, look
I
forward
have a
to.
question.
Oh, sure.
What do you guys plan on charging, what do you guys plan on charging for the homes?
They don't know yet.
Yeah, because if I recall, it was about 450,000 about 3 years ago when you first came, so now I bet you half,
I can't imagine that.
because you talk about economics.
You wouldn't know at this point. There's too many unknowns.
Yeah, they were higher-end homes though, correct?
They were higher-end
Higher-end
homes.
homes, yeah.
Oh, okay, higher-end
And-
homes.
They were higher-end homes. I was on the board when you first came, and, you know, so I get it.
And Dan, if I could offer this up, if anyone wanted to search for Stratford Farm subdivision, just Google that term.
Is it Stratford?
Stratford, Stratford.
But just for clarification, because I was on the board when you first came, I thought when the project first came, the project proposal was, I never heard anything about I don't recall hearing about the package plant. It was always, they were gonna build the sewer line. There was one proposed way, and then they proposed coming down North Road, and then that became too cost-effective, and then the sewer plant came up. So I thought the original project was proposed to put the sewer line in.
It was.
The water's already there. The water's already there.
So,
And that's why I asked the question, John, because they already have town water, why they couldn't put their own septics on each lot.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have a problem with the well, because sometimes if you go down on a lot size, you have a problem with the well being too close to the septic, but they wouldn't have that because they have town water. So that's why I asked you the question about why couldn't you put independent leach field septic tanks on the lots?
Yep. But just to make it clear for the board, when the original proposal came in to extend the sewer, and this was before the sewer extension study that went through those two proposals, there were a significant number of additional lots proposed. That's why we came to the board, for that, to allow additional lots to make the project economically viable, to take on the cost of extending the sewer. Yes?
Right. Initially, it would be changing the L1 to R1. Those buildings would disappear, and that gave you 212 houses.
That's correct. It was
That was the
212.
number.
You are correct.
Correct.
And that
Now,
number
they
of lots
also,
supported the
what
cost.
they put the houses closer together, so the roads, the sidewalks, and everything else didn't have to be as large.
It's a big savings, you know, less roadway, less
Well, but
infrastructure.
Yeah,
that's
and you gotta
part of
balance
it.
this
I get
thing
it, I
for
get
It's
the
also
economic
less roads
viability.
that they gotta plow.
Right, I get it.
Yeah. Our project engineer would just like to follow up on one matter.
Just
I do
just a quick question before we
Yes.
go. And the lot size is now at the 166, because there was at one point the lot sizes were gonna be, I wanna say .33 of an acre. What are they at now with the 166?
Justin Dates with Collier's Engineering and Design. Yeah, the current plan, the 166 lot, we have a 15,000 square foot minimum or 0.34 acres.
So they're still the same,
Yeah.
small lot?
Yeah, that's
And-
correct.
And the houses were gonna be, at the time you came for us, I believe you said around 3,300 square foot houses?
I
3,000
don't
square foot.
think the applicant's locked in on a set
They were big
size, yeah.
houses, though. They were more colonials and they weren't 1,500 square foot houses. They were,
No,
You're correct.
yeah,
They were-
they
they were
weren't that small. No, yeah.
they were larger houses on .33 of an acre, which is a small lot.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. But essentially, the conservation subdivision code, that's the
Conservation.
drive.
Right. But why couldn't you, if the lots, because you have so much acreage there, if you made the lots a little bigger and put your own septics on it, and then you wouldn't have to build the,
So one thing that the New York State Environmental Code does limit septics, subdivision that is serviced by septic fields to 49 lots.
okay.
Anything above 49, they have to have a community sewerage system, right? So that could be connected to municipal or, as we're proposing, the on-site plan.
So you could only put 49 houses there if you
That's
could.
regardless of lot size? You're saying,
It's a septic.
really?
So-
Yes.
Once you hit 50, you
Yep.
need to go back to the Board of Health, and then you need to, there's rulings above 50.
But they could go back to Board of Health and get more.
But I don't know if they would approve it or not. Yeah. It's tough to get it above 50, Joe. Let's
49
put it that
lots.
way.
So how many acres you got there?
520.
So 520 acres, you can only put 49 houses on it?
There's a lot of slopes are too steep to
But
build
if
on.
it didn't have
But
the
it's
slopes, it was just flat,
We would still
But
need to
it's
look
not.
at some type of
I mean,
community.
It'd still be stopped for the
They'll stop
septic
at
issue at
49.
50.
That's my
49,
question.
Yes.
That's correct.
so 49 period, no matter,
Whatever size.
That's correct.
That's accurate.
thanks. I didn't know that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good seeing
gentlemen.
Okay, move forward with new business
I
and,
have one old
Oh.
business item.
okay, go ahead, bring it up.
I think it was the March meeting, the question came up about the building department vehicles. Dave Barton has left the room for a second, so. Yeah,
John,
it's always good to schmooze with the attorney, then.
John, you got to get a little closer. Thank you.
Yeah, and Dave, in March, a question came up about the building department vehicle and where it's parked in the evenings, and we didn't discuss
so-
anything in April about it. So, any follow-up on that? Where are we with that?
Well, the building department vehicles, Dave has, the building director, which is Dave, has a take-home vehicle that he can take home.
Right.
And then there's two other vehicles that are used during the day by the safety inspectors. They're supposed to remain here at the building, they don't have their own vehicles to take home at night. And the only time they're supposed to take them home is if there's a fire emergency that they went on, and they would go home with it and then bring it back the next day.
Well, I don't understand that. How do you foresee a fire emergency? that you know you're gonna have a fire emergency that night.
There's no on-call. I mean, if we as a
But are
board,
they on call? I thought they are on call.
but it doesn't
The
say,
call
it
at
doesn't.
2 AM and it's a house fire, does the building department go out?
There's someone from emergency dispatch sitting right here. He called-
Right, there we,
But the thing is,
the building department rolls on any type of structural emergency regardless of the
so
time.
John, they don't have it, we don't have it as a resolution, they take them home when they're on call. So we'd have to pass that resolution that they would take them home.
And that's why I'm
at
bringing
night.
it up.
Well, then we'd
Because
have to
to
pass
me,
a resolution.
it doesn't make logic sense if there's something in Western Lloyd, and is it Anthony that would respond? And Anthony drives from Western Lloyd, picks up a vehicle, and then goes
That's the
back
way it
to
is
the
right now.
scene? To me, it just,
But then you'd have, if he wasn't on call, the next person who does not live in Highland, they would have to take it home.
so
So what you're proposing is that they get to take them home at night, both vehicles.
if someone is on call on 24/7 coverage, I think they should have the vehicle with them. To me, it makes logical sense. We're asking them to be available, but we're not doing anything to make it a little easier for them. Just my
Well,
thoughts.
they can put a charge in for their vehicle, the gas usage, there's a
But just
state
the
rate.
timing, even the timing.
But
of
then that's something we have to do as a board. You have to put hold on, Dave, you have to put a resolution forward. If you want them to take the vehicles home, then we have to put a resolution forward and vote on it to allow them to take home. Right now, that's not in their contract that they each get a vehicle to take home. And if they're gonna be on call, then, if they're both on call, 24 hours, 7 days a week, is that's what you're saying? And then what is the cost of that now to the town, the gas at 5 something a gallon for both of them to bring them back and forth every night? And the wear and tear on the vehicles, are we gonna be replacing the
So
vehicles
we
every
need a
3 years?
resolution to change.
Need a
that.
resolution to change it, so.
Could I ask a question? Is your vehicle in your contract, or was there a resolution for that?
Originally, there was a resolution for it,
Okay,
back when I first got hired.
okay, that's,
Then it was built into the contract.
okay, all right. So then if that's the case, then we got to put a resolution forward.
Because the water department, right, they take a vehicle home?
Not everyone in the water department.
Because I used to see one on North Elkins Corners, almost,
Senior operator, I think, Richard.
Adam, yes.
I can answer to that. The vehicle provided to me to respond to emergency is via the contract. So within the road crew, the person that is on, well, all three of them really are on a 24-hour call, but Kevin Klotz has, via a resolution, a truck
Okay.
in his possession to respond. There are
So you want to do the same
times,
thing?
there are times where Kevin Klotz is on vacation and has made me aware that he will not be present, so that vehicle may be alternated into
Goes to
So
someone.
Adam, can you come up here for a second? How many guys do you have on call?
With the water and sewer department, so there is myself, and there's the road crew, which are 3.
So we should buy them all trucks then. We should
No.
buy all 3 of them trucks. If they're
No,
on call 24 hours 7, under this, hold on,
I
hold
think
on a
he
second.
says he manages
Under,
who's on
if
call.
we're gonna say that anybody on call 24/7 is gonna get a vehicle to take home, then why are we not doing
Well,
the same for this?
I don't think he's saying that, Joe. I think what John's saying is.
Just because we have 2 vehicles, we're gonna let them take them home?
No, I think what he's saying is people who are normally requested to, as on call for the value and safety and convenience of it, that person or those couple people should be allowed to take a vehicle home. So if John feels strongly about it, and I know some of us, we all have opinions, then, John, I would ask you to work with Sean to write a resolution and bring
I'd
it
like to
forward to
know-
the
I'd
board.
like to- like, how many-
Word it specifically how you'd like it.
Can you,
Yeah, they could do a
before we do the
resolution now.
resolution, can you, since you're gonna work on this, John, and you feel strongly about it, can you provide us with the number of calls that they've responded to, each of them, in the last 5 years per year? So then we can logically say, if it's 3 calls, then it doesn't really make sense.
I would
If it's 100
propose
calls.
this, Joe. I would propose, let John write the resolution, and if there's data you need to answer the resolution, you should go get it.
Well, no, John, if John's got this proposal, you want us to vote blindly on it, because
I'm not saying
you're not
vote-
giving us any data,
Well,
you're a data guy.
to me, it's
Hold
like-
on, Dave, you're a data guy, so you're telling us that you're gonna burden the taxpayers with wear and tear on a vehicle, burden the taxpayers at 5 something a gallon to bring 2 vehicles home, one person that lives out of Highland in Marlboro, bringing it back and forth, and then you're going to then tell us it's my responsibility when you're bringing this proposal up to say, well, how many calls do they go on a year after their contractual day ends? So I think that's information for us to make a logical opinion. So if you're saying to me, Joe, I want this person to be allowed to bring the vehicle home because they've responded after 4 o'clock when their day ends to 100 calls a year, to me that makes sense. If it's 3 calls, it doesn't make sense. So you want us to vote on something, but you don't want to supply us the data, and then you have the audacity, Mr. Dataman, to say, no, Joe, you go do it. I'm not putting the proposal up. If I was putting the proposal up, I would give you the data.
No, it's like any proposal, Joe. Somebody puts together a proposal, and if you feel you need data to vote on that proposal, then you should get it. I get it when I need it, and this is one where I feel I don't need it because I'm here every day and I see what they go through.
Well, it wouldn't be
So
during
when
the
I
day,
need
Dave. It
data,
would be
I
at
will
night.
go get it. And
It would
I
be at
do
night.
that every day. You could talk to anybody in here. When I need data to answer a question, I go and get it.
So then you should get us the data, Dave. You're the supervisor.
I think it'd be only fair. I see John's point, I see Joey's point, and I think it would be fair to all the board members to know what we're going to vote on. Because when the resolution comes up,
I'm fine with that, Mike. All I'm saying
It's a
is,
different
we
story.
haven't- we haven't seen,
You go get the data. I
we
asked you
haven't
for a
seen the
simple thing.
resolution yet. Let John write it and
Let's
bring
get the
forward his.
But why even bring the resolution forward if
Joe,
we
you don't even know
the
what
data?
he's writing yet. Let him write the resolution, work on why he wants to pass it, and if part of that's data, I'm sure John will get it.
Thanks.
Okay, at $4.29, that's not quite $5 yet. Give it time.
Okay,
50 for diesel.
it's coming down. It's gonna
All
get
right,
better.
so John, if you want to bring forward a resolution
will.
with whatever supporting documents you want to bring forward, you can do that.
That would then be-
And if we feel there's not enough data, then you should vote accordingly.
Right.
I mean, that's like any resolution we
But I
do.
think I think the taxpayers should know how many calls are going on after their day ends. So if it's 2 calls or if it's 200 calls, I think that makes sense.
You made
But to
your point.
haphazardly put a
Research.
resolution up with no data and no supporting information, and just say because you
Got
have a
that.
feeling, because we have 2
Joe,
vehicles,
we
it
got
doesn't make
your
sense.
point.
We got
We
your
understand
point.
your
I
point.
get it.
And I'm not saying he's not going to provide data. He hasn't written a resolution yet. So let him bring it forward with his support for it, with whatever he wants to bring forward. And if you see it that Friday, when it goes on the agenda and there's not enough data, you should ask him or me.
I'm asking for it now, but that's
Okay.
beside the point.
Well, you don't, he may have it already. Okay. All right, thank you.
Hope he does.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
Okay, I think, moving on to new business, Dave Barton, you have an open development request for No Lux Properties? I do, right, but you have the info for us. Just explain what it is for the board members, please.
Yeah, the gentleman who owns Applewood South
And
Apartments.
I don't think we have the maps.
You better
If we
have
have
maps.
we don't have maps.
Mike has his.
I got mine.
Got the only map.
Everybody should have went to their mailbox.
It's in the mailbox.
Yeah, they were in the mailboxes.
Oh, okay.
I looked at it, and I think I put it
Okay,
back
so
today.
you know where it's at then? Okay, I'm good then. Go ahead, Dave, just say what it is.
The gentleman who owns Applewood South Apartments has put a petition into the town board requesting an open development area for 87.4-3-13. It is a lot that has no road frontage. It's the lot on the maps that I gave you with a big red arrow on it. Hopefully you couldn't have missed it. Big red arrow.
Right.
He actually owns the other lot, the larger lot, which is bisected by the rail trail, which is a single lot, according to the county. As you all know, I'm sure, because I know you all looked at it because it's an ODA, so I know you all went to Town Law 280-A before this meeting. I can't give a building permit for a lot without frontage on an approved state, county, or town road. The way the law reads, the lot, building permit cannot be issued for any building, structure, or use unless a street or highway giving access to such proposed structure has been duly placed in the official map or plan. The law then clarifies that for the purposes of this section, the word access shall mean that the plot on which structure on which structure is proposed to be erected directly abuts on such street or highway and has sufficient frontage thereon to allow ingress and egress of fire trucks. If any of you have ever been to Mr. Indelicato's property, which is directly behind this, John was issued an open development area many, many years ago. He accesses his property, Mr. Indelicato does, through Applewood South, one of the ways, through Applewood South driveway, which has recently been paved. This lot, 87.4-3-13, will do the same. What he's looking for is relief from 280A, which is called an open development area.
There's already a home.
Nope, there's nothing on the property.
No, not his property, you're saying, but because it's a rail trail, it's got to cross, correct?
Yep.
And is there any other houses, I know there are other houses that cross the rail trail, but is there any other houses that are using that segment there across the rail trail? That would be the only house that would do it.
Yeah, not at this moment, not at this moment. Only Mr. Indelicato, who has a shed on his property.
And where's the shed up compared to that arrow?
Oh, it's deep in the back. In fact, you can't even see it. Maybe you can. If you have the ortho map.
Second page, Joe.
More west,
I have it. So it's,
way in here.
so he's coming across to use the shed.
Yeah, he drives up the driveway.
And Dave, what is the deal with these lots right here?
What's that?
What's the deal with these two lots? right here?
This one is Mountainside. I think that's a Mountainside one. I think that's Indelicato. So is that one.
So if we grant this, do we have to grant?
No, well, the board can do whatever it wants. The board, by its own volition, can enact ODAs anywhere they want. This was driven by a petition from the owner. We know quite well, we do fire safety inspections in that building. He's actually, as it turns out, also a state trooper, and he's helped us in his professional capacity with some investigations into some of our hotels, what we've had concerns about. He's been great. John's lots, to answer your question, Joe, already have an open development area. If you recall, way back when, Sean can help me better. I know Mark has covered the story. It was Indelicato and Spitzfaden, I think is the name, right?
And what would be allowed to be built there, Dave? A single-family house or?
Right now, a single-family dwelling, that's right. Or a multifamily, but I don't think he has acreage. He'd have to go to ZBA for relief. I think he's looking to build a single-family for himself. I think he currently lives in the front. So, yeah.
Okay.
To me, and I don't mean to abrogate your authority, to me, this is sort of an easy one, because he has good access to the property. He owns a property right next door that grants access. So that lot will be, you guys, maybe as part of your ODA, Sean, they would have to do some sort of maintenance condition easement for access?
Yeah, that's a question I have. Is it a deeded right-of-way now?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have the deeds or anything.
I think before the town board acted, you would want to see a deeded right-of-way with adequate access and a maintenance agreement that this gentleman would have the right to maintain.
And he would have to bring power lines, water, sewer, whatever.
Yeah, I guess. It ain't gonna be cheap.
So you'd have to go through.
My sense, Joe, is that he might come off Mountainside Woods, that phase 3 that they're building now.
Coming that way.
With power, yeah. I mean, that's probably the cheapest route, but he'd have to make a deal with them to make that connection, because it's in the districts, it's in the water and sewer districts, but either way, and if he brings underground power, it really can't be cheap. So, I mean, he's got a little, but he's interested. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been up to those apartments. He's done a magnificent job making them beautiful again. So,
So, we also need to check with the rail trail.
there's a crossing there now.
Pardon?
There's a crossing there now.
Yeah, but Sean's
It's
saying
not,
is there a right
not
of way?
used very much.
Right, you got to confirm the right of way.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a right of way, that's one thing, but if there's no right of way and he just wants to cross it, that's another.
But that's what I said, before you acted, you want to make sure that he has access from the road to his property.
A single-family house is one thing, multifamily, crossing, cars coming in and out, I think that's the thing we want to avoid, crossing the rail trail. Because to me, that's a safety issue. One family, that's different.
Well, like I said, I think you have to see what the facts are right now before you act. Look what's there. And determine, like I said, the big thing is access.
So Dave,
Yeah, right. Yeah, you need.
so is the
you need
next step
access.
for an open development agreement to be written?
No, the board could actually vote on the fly to do this, but I think what I'll do is I'll reach out to the applicant, the trooper that we know and have a good relationship with. I'll get the data in terms of deeds. If I can pull them from Annie, we'll check for easements. We'll circulate them through you for clarification.
Yeah, Sean, I don't really want to vote on the fly, so if you could, maybe the rest of the board
Yeah,
does,
I don't either.
But the board might want to do that. Seems like there's other things we want to vote on the fly, but I don't. However, could you tell us specifically legally if there's a easement and if there's not?
Yeah, like Dave said, he'll take a look, because actually, you need access. He needs access to the property, so I think the town board wants to confirm access. And as Dave indicated, it's a good idea to get a maintenance agreement. I mean, with the right-of-way, there are certain rights that you have to maintain the property, but generally, the town board likes to see actually an agreement in writing outlining those rights.
And this property is its own deeded property, or is it attached to the other property?
It looks like it's a separate lot, right?
Separate lot.
So there's lots of landlocked property in Highland.
Oh, there's a
And
ton of-
that's the purpose of, the purpose of an ODA is that these landlocked properties can be developed and people can use these properties.
And I get it, but this
Otherwise, the
one's...
denial of a permit would be like a 14th
How did he
Amendment
obtain
taking.
it with the property, Dave, or did
I
he
don't
just
know the
recently
answer.
buy it?
Don't know the answer.
Oh, he's had it for quite a while.
Well, did
The
it come
apartments
with...
he's had quite a while. I don't know about the other.
Oh, they've been
Yeah.
there forever.
No, that's not the question. The question is he had the apartments, but was this piece of property, he obtained it when he bought the property, he just recently purchased this landlocked piece? That's,
You have to,
Don't know.
you have to look at the deeds.
Pete, yeah.
it was there.
Okay, so it sounds like we can wait until the next meeting.
punt,
We'll have all
yeah.
the information, and then we can move forward, decide how to move forward at that time.
Before I leave, does anybody have any questions about the Indian Ridge subdivision?
Anybody have questions? That's one of the resolutions.
I'm abstained.
Yeah, well, Lenny abstains. Joe, Mike, anybody have questions? I think you've been through this
Nope,
one
it's been,
before, right?
it's been around for a while.
Yeah, you've been through those. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Dave. Okay, John, I'll let you introduce Mr. Harriman, who's on the agenda next, to spend a few minutes with us talking about a proposal he has.
Okay.
Mike's mine.
Well, we looked at, what?
Yeah,
What do you want, the map?
it's Mike's.
Pass it down. My map, please.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, I
Thank
thought
you.
money was missing. Okay, when we talk about the lighting district in general, obviously, one of the first things I wanted to do was see what it cost us and if there's any opportunity. And I know there's been a lot of efforts in the past with energy savings. Steve represents
Thank you.
a company, Real Term Energy. There's some energy savings, but it's actually dollar savings, cost savings, and it's a different way of looking at managing your cost of the lighting district in the town. So I met with Steve initially, then Dave and I met with him, and we've had several, he's gone back, we've collected some data, had several video calls, and we got to the point that said, well, we really need to bring this to the workshop and let Steve kind of present his case to us and see what you guys think. So, Mr. Harriman, Steve Harriman, thank you for being with us, and
Thank you, John.
interested to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, David, for inviting me. Town board members, thanks for having me. Town staff, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you got to get a little bit closer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I speak to town supervisors and mayors almost on a daily basis. And what the ongoing theme tends to be is we've got to control costs. And that's really why I'm here to talk about your streetlights. Right now, Central Hudson owns the majority of your streetlights. They own 766 of your 847 streetlights. And they're charging you a king's ransom for those lights, especially on the maintenance side of things. Now, by switching to LED, you will save considerable energy costs, energy consumption costs, but more importantly, by acquiring the streetlights from the utility, you'll save the maintenance. 2/3 of your bill is maintenance. And if you had just the utility do it for you, you'd still have to pay most of those maintenance fees. You'd save energy, but you wouldn't save nearly the cost savings you would save by acquiring and having a company like Real-Term Energy upgrade the streetlights. So again, you've got 847 lights total, the 81 that are owned by the town, 766 that are owned by Central Hudson. There's 450 that need to be upgraded. All 766 need to be purchased for this to work, for us to save the town 70%, 70% of your total savings. So if I get everybody to turn to page 10, we'll talk a little bit about where you're at right now and what you're paying for your streetlight expenditures. When you look at all the different line items here, your number of fixtures, the consumption, utility, energy costs, maintenance costs. Right now, you're spending, your current baseline is just over $191,000. By acquiring and upgrading the streetlights, you're going to reduce that to just over $57,000. So you're going to be saving $133,000 annually, which represents a 70% savings. This is significant. The way that we're doing that is if you look just above that, the table just above that, you can see the current HID, that's what you currently have. You can see the wattages, they range from anywhere from 86 watts to as much as 496 watts. So by replacing them with LED fixtures, we're much more efficient. Most of your fixtures are the 86 watt fixtures. We're going to go from 86 watts to 25 watts. That represents a 71% savings. So what you're spending on the streetlights right now, you can use to pay for the upgrade. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Just one question. So when you figure out these savings and you're showing it a yearly savings, but when would the savings start? So I don't think the board wants to wait 15, 20 years to start recognizing savings.
Right. Well, what we could do then is go to the last page, because I know we only have about 15 minutes, so I know I have to go through this quick, and I want to leave some time for questions. So if we look at the cash flow on the very last page, in year one, you're cash flow negative, or you're cash flow neutral, meaning that you are not paying any more than you're paying right now for the streetlights. So if you acquire all the streetlights, you upgrade them to LED, you're paying the same as you're paying right now. When you get into the second year, you're cash flow positive. And each subsequent year, you're cash flow positive, and depending on the way you want to amortize it, I would suggest you amortize over 5 years, a shorter term, less interest. You are $114,000 in cumulative savings over the 5-year term. So the savings are going to begin in year one. Now, it takes about 6 months to get the new fixtures up and running and work with the utility to get the new tariffs in order. So there are savings in the first year, but you get about 6 months of savings. So from the time, if you're interested in doing this, from the time you sign on with a professional services agreement to the time the project's done, we're probably looking at about 9 months. So it takes some time. And we're working with municipalities in Dutchess County right now, in Orange County, Rockland County, Nassau County. We're working about 10 communities right now doing their streetlight upgrades. And again, they're all looking at, controlling these costs. Because like I said, you're spending a tremendous amount of money every year on your streetlights.
Is it okay to ask a question yet, or would you rather?
No, absolutely.
So you're going to change all our lights to LEDs?
Well, you've got some LEDs already, but yeah, we're going to, any street lights that aren't LED, we're going to take them out and replace them with LEDs, yes, correct.
And then if the lights go out or they break or something, any maintenance, you'll come and fix them?
We do have a maintenance program post-upgrade, absolutely. So yeah.
Because right now it's Central Hudson fixes them. So do we have to pay you extra to come and do it?
Well, you have to, right now, the maintenance, if you continue to let Central Hudson upgrade the street lights to LED, you're going to be paying a considerable amount of money for maintenance of those fixtures. Because with LED go ahead.
If we go with you to upgrade the system, we have no maintenance unless we go with maintenance with you.
Yeah.
So what is your maintenance cost compared to their maintenance cost?
Well, I can tell you what our maintenance cost is. We're looking at about $2.50 a light per month.
And do you know what we're paying now per light per month?
No. Considerably more.
$250 a month, okay.
on page 10, you have operating cost analysis, and you have a baseline, and then you have the post-LED upgrade. Where do those numbers come from? Or am I
The
misreading?
baseline, yes, that's a good question. So the baseline comes from the utility bills that were provided to us.
Okay, so so actually, this shows that that the overall savings is less, but the actual annual maintenance cost is going up. Is that the
Yeah,
way?
because you're not paying maintenance right now. You're paying Central Hudson. So you're getting a bill every month
So the
from
maintenance
Central.
cost is included in the
maintenance
bill.
So
Yeah.
Central Hudson gives us the maintenance in the price, so.
Okay.
It's built into the price.
Okay,
Right.
I didn't understand that, very good.
Right.
I don't know, I mean, you know what you got, I don't know if you know what you're gonna get, that's,
Right.
and I don't like, I don't know, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, everybody likes to save money, but sometimes saving money isn't
How long,
exactly what you
is
think
there
you
a
get.
lock-in
No,
here?
Is there,
You know, we would have to lock in so many years with your company, or?
no, I mean, you could pick whatever term you want, 5, 7, 10-year term. And then once the term is over, you pay Real Term Energy $1 and you own the streetlights. And if you wanted to go with our maintenance program, what we do is we canvass the local market for local electrical contractors, and we basically tender that out. And same with all the material. We work on the specifications, we do all the design work, and we submit that to all the manufacturers in North America. And then
Sean?
they bid on it.
Sean, quick question. I know in a contract, we can't enter in an employee contract longer than the board to usurp the present board. Can we enter into a contract with this company that ties the hands of future boards?
Yeah, you can enter into a contract for longer terms, and I mean, the town does it, I can't think of any specific.
I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
asking.
Actually,
I would hate to enter something and then a new board comes in and they're stuck with something that we
no, I
did.
understand. But actually, Wendy just asked a question. You're going to replace all the bulbs, so the town's going to actually own the lights, right?
No, we own the streetlights. Real Term Energy takes on all the risk. We
Okay,
own the street.
how about the poles? If somebody knocks a pole down?
The poles are owned by Central Hudson. So if you have a pole knocked down, as part of our maintenance package, we'll take care of that for you. But if there's power out, Central Hudson will have to take care of that. Central Hudson will have to also replace that pole. But as far as a fixture goes or an arm goes, we'll take care of that.
Okay, so they're your bulbs, and they're your fixtures then?
Yeah.
So Central
they'll
Hudson has to do the
yeah.
pole, Central Hudson has to do the electric.
Yeah.
The only thing they're doing is the fixture, and then we're paying them a fee for how many years that we choose, so we're putting it over time.
We would have to pay Central Hudson for the poles, for the use of the
You're
poles.
replacing the
Oh, sure you would.
fixtures.
Yeah.
And typically what a municipality will do is they'll run that through their insurance. And now this is an example of a tax-exempt lease purchase. If you elect to go with a tax-exempt lease purchase, those rates are usually, well, right now they've gone up 150 basis points since March. But we're still looking at low interest rates, so it makes this affordable. And the nice thing about a tax-exempt lease purchase is it doesn't show up on your books as debt.
Sean, one thing I'm curious, I know like with Cablevision, I have the triple play. And I always try to get rid of something, think I'm gonna save money. I find if I get rid of the premium channel, the internet goes up. If I get rid of the phone, the internet goes up. And no matter how I get it, if I go to satellite or whatever I try to do, it always comes out to be the same price. They got it down to such a science. So the question I have is, if Central Hudson owns the pole and Central Hudson's going to supply us with the energy, if we're not getting the fixture, is it like the internet? Do they give you a different price? Is it going to be a higher price for the use of the pole?
No.
And the maintenance to fix it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
No, your savings for the term are locked in, and as far as what the utility charges you, we can't control that. I mean,
yeah, but are they going to say, well, now that you're not getting everything from us, you're paying a different fee?
yeah, we haven't seen that, and we've been doing this. We've upgraded over 300 communities, and we have not seen. We have not seen that. No. And we've done a lot of work here in New York, and we continue to do a lot of work in New York. And I'm happy, by the way, to provide any references to similar municipalities in terms of size.
We have someone online who has a question. Wants to know, does Central Hudson charge the new company for pole usage?
So are they talking about, like if someone puts things on the pole, it fixes things to the pole?
think what he's asking is Central Hudson going to charge you a fee for pole users to put your fixture on their
No.
pole?
No.
They're allowed to do,
They charge the village. I mean, that's,
so we're paying the fee.
yeah, you're
so-
absorbing that cost.
I would say yes, and the town has to pay the fee.
Yeah. And it's state law in New York that you have the opportunity to buy these streetlight assets. And this isn't the case in Ohio or Pennsylvania or New Jersey, where municipalities are not able to buy their fixtures, so they can't get the savings. You have an opportunity to really get some great savings here, and like I said, control costs. And that's the opportunity here, is to really to control costs, and not only that, get proper street lighting designs done, because Central Hudson basically replaces that that burned out HID bulb with an LED fixture one for one. There's no design work done. When you upgrade with us or any other company like us, there's design work that goes into that. And if there's any future smart city enhancements, like public Wi-Fi deployment, sensors, smart parking, smart garbage, if you ever wanted to add some of those elements, you can do that when you own the streetlight assets. So there's that benefit as well.
Now, Steve, I know the reduced wattage is the obvious savings. I mean, that's a given. But where are we realizing the rest of the savings from?
Yeah,
Can you explain?
if you look at, John, if you look at page 10,
Okay.
and you look at the utility costs, specifically delivery charges.
The delivery charge.
Yeah, that's getting the power to the light. So because we're reducing the consumption so much, we're also reducing that annual cost tremendously, in this case by 83%.
One other question on the, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, just on the, so we're reducing the wattage, but is the luminary piece of it the same? So do we have the same lighting, or do we have less lighting? From a safety perspective, how's that work?
The LED lights are so much brighter.
Yeah, but, so, I'm glad you asked that, because I'm a little confused. So, right now, we've got street lights.
Right.
And are you telling me that your company's coming in and they're gonna say, we're gonna redesign those lights and give you lights that give you optical? Because I know that, for example, I was going down old New Paltz Road, which was the old 299, this other half
Yeah.
of it, and the street lights are very far apart. And I was actually riding my bicycle. And some parts I could see great, but then from one street light to the other, they were so far apart, it was pitch black.
Right.
And for somebody walking riding a bike, it was dangerous. So are you telling me that you're gonna go in at night and research and say, hey, you know what, this fixture is the wrong fixture, and we're gonna put a different fixture in? Or are you using the same one-for-one fixture that they're doing?
Oh, no, we're gonna design to RP8 guidelines, which is the Illuminating Engineers Society guidelines. So each one of these streetlights is gonna be designed, we're gonna look at regional characteristics like what's the traffic pattern, how much pedestrian conflict, vehicular conflict, intersections, hospitals, and we're gonna just design around those parameters. So the first thing we do is we come to the town and we audit every single one of your streetlights. And we're not just looking at the light, we're looking at the setback from the curb, we're looking at that road classification, we're looking at parking, we're looking at fixture mounting height, and we're recording all of this information, and then we're basing that information on our designs. And we do more design work than any other company out there. It's one of the reasons that we're able to get these wattages down where we need to get them to, because we're maximizing the savings here. And by designing properly and designing to RP8 standards, using your existing pole spacing, your existing assets, we're designing around that. We're not adding poles.
You're not adding poles, you're not adding fixtures.
We're not adding fixtures, we're
You're
not
just
adding poles. We can do
maximizing the-
that if you want us to, but
But that's not in
Yeah,
this
John,
proposal.
that's a question though, so say we want, that street that I was walking on, or riding my bike on, I say, and the board goes out there and says, hey, you know what, this really isn't safe. We want another fixture. You can install that for us even though there wasn't one there?
Well, we could put in another fixture. There's gonna be considerable costs because you have to look at trenching potentially. There's a lot of costs
Even if
associated
it's not
with
a
that.
pole?
Oh, no. So if we're gonna be using existing poles. So what we would do if there's say 150-foot spacing, is we would assign a street light to that location that has a different lighting pattern, that has a little bit wider lighting pattern. Doesn't go out as far, but goes wider.
But so say we say, hey, you know what, we want an additional streetlight between these two streetlights. Are you gonna be able to just go and do it, or you have to go to Central Hudson, get their approval, the whole process, or can you just say, yep, no problem, this is what's gonna charge you?
Oh, yeah, we'd have to definitely go through Central Hudson because we'd have to run power to those poles, those new poles.
Yeah, any new pole would need Central Hudson and everything there, Joe. We've been through that on another project.
We have another question. He wants to know, will a photometric plan be submitted?
Yes, 100%.
That's kind of where I was heading with the question I had on lumens versus.
A photometric plan,
I couldn't think of the
lighting
right
design, for lack of a better word, will be provided for. And what Real-Term Energy does is we design for each unique street. So for example, if we have a street that has Cobra heads on it that are 50-foot spacing, and then we go into another area where they're 100-foot spacing, that's a new design. So anytime we run into an area where it's unique, that's where a new design for us. So yes, we do photometric designs, and in some cases, we'll do 30, 40, depends on how many fixtures that we're...
Can I ask you, how many years has this company been in business for?
We've been in business for almost 10 years. And we've upgraded over 300 communities.
And what's the longest municipality that's been with you?
Sorry?
The longest municipality range, 10 years?
Yeah.
And you can put us in contact with them?
We can put you in touch with New York State municipalities. We can put you in touch with pretty much anyone you want. We've done projects for 100 streetlights. We've done projects for 40,000 streetlights. We work with utilities, investor-owned utilities. Like I said, we've done a lot of work here in New York State, a lot of work in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, a lot of work in the U.S. Northeast.
So the only thing I'm concerned about, I'm just going to say it, is I remember being in church one time. I remember they were saying Central Hudson doesn't have to deliver your power, and all these companies, I had a couple of names jump out at me, one with an A, and everybody jumped on board and they found that it was costing them more in the end than they were saving.
But we do have municipalities that have been with you for a few years.
Oh, yeah.
And that we can talk to. Some are, I know some in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
Would you explain the global bank designation that you have?
The World Bank?
World Bank.
Yes. So when we first started out back in 2013, we were awarded the street lighting contract for the province of Ontario. The province of Ontario's got 10 million people in it. It's a big province. And that meant that municipalities, because we were already vetted out, municipalities could sign on directly with Real-Term Energy and have their community upgraded to LED. They didn't have to, but they had that option. And we were able to work with communities throughout Ontario, anywhere from 40,000 lights down to about 100. And we ended up doing just over 200 municipalities in Ontario alone in about 7 years. So World Bank got wind of that, and they were very interested in what we were doing, because we're not only reducing energy consumption, we're greatly reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So World Bank got wind of that. They interviewed one of our founding members, Kerry Wilson, and they asked him to come up to Washington, D.C. to present to their members and talk about how did you do this? How did you work with all these municipalities? How did you get it done so fast? And from there, 2 years later, they asked us to come up to Peru and do a presentation there. So they ended up citing us for best practices. So when we had that contract with the Ontario Municipal Association, we had to be within certain margins, we had to guarantee our price, and we had to guarantee our savings, and they audit us every year. They say, take 4 or 5 cities and give us the records on those cities. And they could kick us out of that contract at any time. And we finished that contract with them last year. And the program's over. Almost every single municipality, 400 municipalities in Ontario have been upgraded.
Okay, so I think what we want to do here, Steve, and I know, John, you're leading this, but I think in the, just to move forward time-wise and et cetera, we have the package. I'd like, I know John's been through it. I've been through it somewhat. I'd like to do a little more research on it, and then we'll get back to you, because I do see some localities around here that maybe we can call and get their experience and then go forward.
Yeah, and if you have, anybody has any questions.
I was going to say, if anybody has questions, it's good to email
Any
you.
questions?
Yeah.
We'll get this to you, and
Is that your phone number there, or is that the company's number? The 905?
That would be my number.
Okay, so if we wanted, we could reach out to you. that way.
Absolutely,
And I think
anytime.
his email's on there too, Joe. We've been getting him through email. Okay.
Steve, thank you very much. Thanks for coming
My
in.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Coming, God bless you, be safe going home,
Thank you.
wherever that might be.
Okay, one other new business piece, and it wasn't on the agenda, but I would like to just bring it up. We've been, people bought the bank building.
There again?
They have a variety of stuff they're thinking about doing there, Joe. I don't know if they've set on one thing yet.
Who asked me? I
Yeah.
thought we said it at a board meeting, I forgot.
Yeah, they were talking about, cafe courtyard and continuing the dance studio or what, the theater studio. And I think they wanted to do some other stuff. His office is in there now. But one of the things we learned, and I didn't even know that, there's a bus stop right in front of there. A UCAT, the UCAT bus stop. Do you
There's
know
one,
that?
I know there's one on Milton above it.
I didn't know it was still there.
It's right, it's right directly in front of the bus, and, I'm sorry, directly in front of the bank. So what happens is, people waiting for the bus sit on the steps to wait for the bus. So, when you buy a business, you would rather not have people sitting over your steps when you have patrons walking through, right?
Right.
So it kind of made sense to me, so they had asked what we could do, so I ended up calling Ulster County, UCATS, Ulster County Area Transportation, and today they told me it's up to us if we want to move the bus stop. So we're thinking about moving it across the street by where the Methodist church is, because the bus comes up. So if you think about coming down Hillside or Woodside.
So I think,
Woodside, it comes up the hill. There's a stop sign right there also at the corner. So we're thinking about moving it over there.
but when, okay, so the bus comes and it's the bus pickup or the drop off?
It's pick up and drop
So
off.
they drop off, but are they letting off and picking up on that side of the street? Or
Yes.
No,
They could be.
they're gonna let them off on the other side of the street. We go in the wrong direction and let them off on that side of the street. They pick them up going to Poughkeepsie in the morning, and right now, they stop at the stop sign before the water fountain to let the people off.
Oh, on that side, okay.
So they're picking up
Yeah.
and they're dropping off on the
Yeah.
other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Just-
problem is the pickup, because that's where people hang out waiting
So
for
the,
it.
the issue I have is, I get it, that the stop's been there forever. Number two is, if we move this stop, or now we're gonna create a new nuisance with a new person that doesn't have the stop. And if we put it by, you're saying by the little flower shop, right? Is that what you're saying right over there?
No, I'm saying down on the corner where the stop sign is.
So
It's
where
gonna
are
be on
they,
Vineyard
so,
Avenue.
so
Avenue. So it doesn't affect any business there. There's no business there.
So right
down by,
across
right by
from
where
the
Mike's
pizzeria,
place,
right?
by the pizzeria?
Across the street.
Just
Across the street.
Across the street, right on the corner where the Methodist church is.
But isn't that up on the hill?
It'd be
or is it-
parallel with the driveway. the
Be
church
parallel with
driveway.
right, with the driveway.
And now where would they stand?
What's that?
Where would they
They'd
stand, in the
stand right
grass?
there. I mean, there's a wall there. The other option is we could put a bench there.
Maybe if you put a bench alongside the
Yes.
bank,
That's what,
well,
you know. I mean, we could try that first if.
yeah, we had discussed that about a bench, but we can't put a bench on their private property.
Right.
Sidewalk's not their problem.
Pardon?
They're
the
responsible.
sidewalk's not, yeah, no, Mike's right on that.
We can put the-
The thing, Mike, that we also thought about, of where it stopped, so we could put it on that side if we had to. I also talked to the chief about it, and when they stop where they stop now, they actually, if you're trying to make a turn, the bus is there. So you can't make the
Or
turn,
they can't
so.
come out and go that way.
He also thought that if they stopped at the stop sign, it's a normal, like, stop sign, they'd just be there longer. So we can go down and look at it. We should go
Yeah,
down and
but-
look
All
at
right,
it.
or just-
Dave, my question is, I think I know what you're talking about. So you're talking like where the flagpole is, where they put the
Correct.
tree, right there by the Methodist church.
Yes,
But there's a wall, and that's higher up.
yes.
And that's my concern is, if they stop,
Tapers down though, that wall.
The wall is the wall is higher as it goes down.
okay, so at the end of the property, it's even with the road.
Yeah.
Is that-
Yep,
And I think there's a sidewalk there. too.
there's a
And-
sidewalk there. There's a sidewalk there,
We could put a
That
bench.
ends against the wall.
yeah. We actually went down and measured it, and we could, if we had to, we could put a 6-foot bench there. And And the fact that it's at the stop sign kind of makes it a natural place to stop. So, I mean, we can walk down and look at it, Mike, if you want, so we can play around. But the county's okay with it. They told us to get back with them with what we want to do. So we can do some, you know, we can,
Probably be even easier for the bus to stop
yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Because in front of the
Well, he's
bank,
got to stop there anyway.
well, will there be
Stop sign.
cars, you know, there'd be.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well,
the
that's
bus, so the bus is
Can't that
heading,
intersection.
the bus is heading, would be heading,
south.
it's heading.
South,
So it's going south, so it would just stop before it does now.
That's correct.
Correct.
One, yeah, it'd stop across the intersection from where it
And then it
stops
would let off across from where it is, or let off where it is now?
let off right where it is now. Well, it would be right where, the same place, the stop sign by the Methodist
No,
church.
because why wouldn't we let off at the same place? The stop sign, there's no stop sign. The stop sign's right across from Calvary. So they would let off,
Right there,
they'd let off at the same spot,
yep,
but they would pick up.
at the same spot.
At the new spot across from the karate studio.
Excuse me for a second. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, Mike, I appreciate you walk down with me tomorrow or next day, and we'll go check it out, maybe Friday. But the county's okay with it, so I'm gonna move forward with that.
The least amount of change would be better.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, it shouldn't be difficult.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
We can figure it out. All right, so I did want to move, because I had trouble getting with Ulster County all week, and we finally hooked up today, so I thought it was a good piece of news that they were
Sure.
proactive to it. Okay, we'll move to privilege of the floor now. Good, Mark? Yeah, come on.
I just had a question. Is the issue with the sidewalk with High Bridge, has that been all resolved at this point in time, or is it still outstanding?
You want to answer that,
It's,
John?
we have an agreement in principle. What the developers agreed to do is to donate $10,000 to the town to be used for sidewalk purposes, not any specific sidewalk, but sidewalk purposes is what it's going to be used for. And he's agreed to grant an easement to the town from Vineyard Avenue through his property up to the rail trail, and the town would pay for the inspections that are, I think they're every 5 years.
5 years,
That
5
just-
years.
Of the pipe underneath the bridge?
Of the bridge, because our pipes are underneath there,
Right,
yes.
right,
So-
right. Oh, of the bridge?
Of the bridge, they would pay for the inspections of the bridge, and for if there's any future maintenance or replacement, the town would pay for the cost associated with the pipes under the bridge, the town's pipes under the bridge.
But the maintenance of the bridge would be his responsibility. So if we pay for an inspection and they say there's a problem with the bridge that has nothing to do with our pipes, we would not pay for that.
Right, he would pay.
That's correct.
And Sean, do you know why, initially, when he was building his project, he objected strongly to anybody crossing his property? Do you know what changed his mind to now allow that?
Do you know, or? go-
Yeah, I think I know. It's the liability insurance.
Yeah,
We
right,
found out that it was covered by
When
the
you,
parks.
when you provide access to a walkway, a state walkway.
Right.
Code, there's a statutory scheme that provides insurance for it. And bottom line is, people are using that anyway, so his option would be to fence it off, and I don't think he wants to do that. But the insurance probably is a big factor.
So right now, if somebody walks through there, he actually has the liability.
That's right.
So it actually benefits him to give us the right of way, or give the rail trail the right of way, because then he's covered under New York State Parks.
And is that due to be signed soon?
Yes, hopefully, it's been sitting, Dave's been asking me about it. I have to get hold of his attorney. His attorney is in the process of drafting the easement agreement. And I am in the process of drafting the contribution agreement, which is a lot simpler than the easement agreement. But I've been meaning to get a hold of his attorney, which I will do between now, and hopefully we might even have a draft of something by the workshop in 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, and it will be two separate
Yeah, there's
resolutions.
two agreements. Like I said, the contribution agreement, which is pretty straightforward, and then the easement agreement, which is actually going to be straightforward too. He's going to grant an easement for the public from Vineyard Avenue through his property up to the rail trail.
Okay, thanks.
Okay? Thanks, Mark. Okay, let's move forward. Motions and resolutions. Motion to approve the minutes of April 6, 2022.
Motion.
Second.
Aquilini and Freno, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution B, and I think, Lenny, this is the one you have to accuse from, correct? Resolution, whereas Indian Ridge LLC and Leonard J. Aquilini entered into an agreement with the town of Lloyd to allow the construction of a roadway with the signing of the subdivision map to build a road instead of bonding it. And whereas Indian Ridge LLC and Leonard J. Aquilini in paragraph 8 of the road improvement and drainage agreement dated November 5th, 2005, set forth a completion date of 30 months from the commencement of construction. And whereas the developer, Leonard J. Aquilini and Indian Ridge LLC, wishes to amend the agreement to provide in paragraph 8 that the time set forth, the sentence shall be 36 months from the execution of the Sixth Amendment of the road and drainage improvements. Now therefore be it resolved as followed. The agreement of November 5th, 2005 is amended as set forth as the Sixth Amendment, the road improvement and drainage agreement, to provide in paragraph that the developer shall complete the road within 36 months of the date of Sixth Amendment to the road improvement and drainage agreement. The building department is advised that no permits other than the one allowed under the First Amendment to this agreement are to be issued in the subdivision until the road is completed and approved by the Town Highway Department, Town Highway Superintendent and Engineer, and dedicated to the Town of Lloyd, without further agreement between the town, Indian Ridge LLC, and Leonard J. Aquilini. Developer may not obtain permits or COs or sell any lots without dedicating the bonding of the road. The supervisor is authorized to sign the Sixth Amendment to Road Improvement and Drainage Agreement as set forth in Exhibit A, which was attached.
Motion.
Second.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
who made the motion?
I think Mike did.
Mike.
Mike made the motion, and John,
Frano's-
John,
Frano's second.
you want to just do a roll call just so we
Yeah.
go through?
Freno?
Fredo's yes.
Slavchek? Moody?
Abstain.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Mazzetti?
Think about, yes, I'm a yes.
Okay, so motion carried 4 to 0.
4 to 1.
4 to 0, and 1 abstain.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Resolution B, to hire Chris Hammond as the waterfront director for the summer season 2022.
Motion.
Motion Mazzetti,
Second.
second Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution C, it's a motion to close 3 parking spaces in the town parking lot next to Sal's Place on May 9th, 2022, from 12 noon to 4 p.m. for the Jimmy Relier Scholarship Golf Tournament.
Motion.
Second.
Mazzetti, Freno, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution D, so to accept the resignation of Frank W. Palmetier III from the Highway Department as of May 11th, 2022, at the request of Highway Superintendent Richard Klotz.
Motion.
Second.
Quick question. Is he accepting another position or he's leaving the town altogether?
I believe he's accepting another
He
position.
accepted.
In town, yeah. With a private contractor.
He's leaving Public Works. He's
No,
municipality. He's not going to work for municipality. He's going to work for a private company.
he's going to work for private, it sounds like he's going to work for a
Yeah, 'cause I
private
didn't-
contractor.
The reason I'm asking, I didn't see him listed in another resolution. That's why I was just curious.
Yeah, okay, right, no. He's a big loss. He's a good worker.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah,
That's-
great guy.
Hard worker.
Okay, did we get a motion, was Mike G, and who seconded it?
Freno.
Freno.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The heavy heart.
Yeah, he's a hard worker.
Okay, Resolution E, to authorize the supervisor to sign the fireworks contract with July Forever Fireworks Incorporated for the town of Lloyd's July 2nd, 4th of July display in the amount of $10,000.
Motion.
Is that the same outfit that we got in the past?
Well, only a second discussion. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Is that the same company we've had in the past?
They are a division of the same company we've used in the past, yes.
All right, they
And-
did a terrific job.
And are we doing a rain date or not?
We have not, yes, we haven't discussed a rain date. When I get the contract signed, we can discuss a rain date.
Yeah, just make sure, because I thought one time we did it, they didn't do a rain date, and then they couldn't get it, and the problem was is that the rain date was so far off. So,
Yeah, we'll look through the contract and see what it says about rain.
yeah, because we don't want to spend
Yep.
spend this, and then, I mean, they do a great job, but then it rains and nobody comes and sees it. So,
Okay, so we had, any other discussion?
No.
Yes, we had the motion
Let's
by
vote on it.
Moody. Do we get a second?
you got a second? Motion, I seconded it, said discussion, so Mike could ask his questions.
Okay.
Now we can vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Resolution F, to authorize the supervisor to approve the audit of the justice courts completed by Town of Lloyd bookkeeper Kendra Menard at the request of Judge Eugene Rizzo.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution G, to close Main Street from Church Street to Vineyard Avenue from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Vineyard Avenue from Milton Avenue to Woodside Place
Motion.
from 7 to 9 p.m. There'll be no parking on the streets from 7 a.m. Motion, Mazzetti.
Second.
Second, Guerrero. All in favor?
Aye.
Put that on the website so people can see that.
Yeah, and should we put the date? Can we put the date with it?
Oh, yeah, it should be the date, right?
Oh, yeah.
This should be
You know,
May
it's good
14th.
I'm glad because I'm looking at this. I've kept reading this resolution over and over. I'm saying,
I didn't catch that either, John.
there's something wrong with it. There's something, good catch, because I didn't catch it. I'm like, it wasn't making sense to me. Like, are we closing it forever?
Right, so we have to amend that to have, include May 14th.
Yeah, it's not
Doesn't
forever.
have a date.
It's just for May 14th.
For all the Spring Fests, which are every day from 7 to...
Every day is Spring Fest.
every
Not
day.
yet this year.
Okay, moving ahead. Motion H, to approve the annual MS4 report for year 20, which is March 10th, 2021 to March 9th, 2022, as prepared by Anthony G. Ingrosso, Deputy Building Inspector, dated March 4th to 2022.
Motion.
Moody?
Second.
Second.
Or more of a comment. So Anthony does this report every year. He does a great job. There's a
Yep.
stipend involved in this report, and your predecessor took forever to pay him. I want to make sure that the stipend, can we make sure he receives his stipend in a timely fashion? He gets paid for that. There's a fee.
What was it, 4,500?
Close.
Ye- But
I think that stipend is worked into his annual salary.
from what I under,
I know,
because
I know
last
it,
year, I got a
yeah.
phone call and he never got the money for a long time.
all right, I'll check on the stipend. I know at the reorg, we had the stipend
Right.
in there, so.
But I don't think he gets it till he performs the
Yeah,
work.
so I'll ask Kendra how she pays that.
Yeah,
and
just,
when she
I just don't want
Yeah,
the
no
guy to do
problem.
the work and have to wait a long time.
No
It's not
problem.
fair. And if you're correct, then that's fine.
And people
long as you
getting
got the
paid
money.
timely, so I'm
Yeah.
good with that. Okay,
So we have to vote.
okay, motion I. to
No,
close-
we have to vote.
Oh, we missed that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we missed it.
Okay, so motion H was moved by Moody, second by Frano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion I, to close 75 Haviland Road parking lot from Sunday, May 15th, 2022, from 1 to 4 p.m. for the Ronald McDonald Footsteps and Families event.
Motion.
Carl?
Second.
Second, Moody or Mazzetti?
Aye, we
All in
can have it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that's the end of the agenda. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Mazzetti, second? Guerrero, all in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks.
Aye.
I didn't know, I saw one jump off the wall. Where's that? She lives in Marlboro. Are you gonna, do you want her driving it back and forth from Marlboro every day? Elaine? No, they're both on, they're both on call. He said it tonight, they're both on call. Listen, I'll be honest with you, I'll do it this way. You want me to go along with it? Anthony is one of them's a code enforcement, one of them's a building, just an inspector. Whatever Anthony's title is, I'll vote yes on that. If you give it to vote, I'm a no.
When Anthony takes vacation, and somebody's back